CrackBerry.com.
Hey everybody, Kevin here for CrackBerry.com, joined by Adam Zeis, and today we're going to try to answer the question you have all been asking us. BlackBerry Q10, BlackBerry Z10, which phone should I buy? For some of you it's an easy answer, for others not so easy. For some you may be indifferent, because honestly I've been using both phones now, and I'm pretty good on both. I'm happy on the Z10, I'm happy on the Q10. I think each has some pros and cons. So maybe the first thing we'll do is walk through the key differences. Vanna White, hold the phones, and we'll talk about the differences and show them off here. Obviously, Q10 has a physical keyboard. This is your traditional BlackBerry form factor. This is the BlackBerry everybody knows. The Z10 is a touchscreen phone, no keyboard. Now, BlackBerry's made an amazing touchscreen keyboard here. So I think for you and me both, we're really good on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of us, we've been back and forth from our keyboard BlackBerries to other devices here and there, but using this for as long as we've had it now, I mean, it's just, it's the best virtual keyboard I've used, and just cranking out, it's awesome.
Totally agree. I mean, we've tried all the keyboards. I've been using the iPhone, the Android phones, everything, and I can say, in my opinion, which is the law, I'm never wrong, this is the best touchscreen keyboard on the market. Anybody who says otherwise, point them at me and I will prove them wrong. But the thing is, there are some people who no matter what can't get used to a touchscreen keyboard.
Sure.
And I think that's the starting point for the decision process here is, if you are rocking a physical keyboard today, you have a Bold 9900 or something else from BlackBerry, the physical keyboard, first thing you do is try the Z10 and see how you take to it. Some people, no matter what, just can't get used to typing on glass. Mm-hmm. For myself, I took to this keyboard right away. I've given the phone, and I've talked to a lot of people who have, they never thought they would be able to give up the physical keyboard. They went Z10, and literally within 2 hours, they're like, I'm never going back.
I think that, that was probably me, because I've loved my physical keyboards all along, even with the torches and everything along the way. I've tried them. I was like, touchscreen, I'll give it a shot. But it never worked out. But the Z10 I've been able to go nuts on. And even now, we've been discussing back and forth, like if you pick up an iPhone and try to type on it, it's looking at it and it's just, the keyboard's so small and it's difficult to type on. And the Z10, it's just there, and I found that actually the faster I type on the keyboard, the better I do, as opposed to, trying to slow down, making sure that I'm not making mistakes. The quicker I go, and then I look at it and I'm like, wow, it worked out. And you just kind of get into the groove and you type away, and it works out awesome.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about typing on the Z10. I mean, the best thing to do, and I mean, the thing I like about this touchscreen keyboard is it's very versatile in the sense that you can type with 2 thumbs quick, put your faith in autocorrect, it'll do a really good job. If you run into hard to spell words, they're probably there on the keyboard for you to swipe up. Or if you want to type with one hand, you're in the grocery store with a bag under your arms and the phone in one hand, you can type pretty well. But for some people, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen a lot of, impatient people who are waiting for this phone. They said, well, I'm going to try the Z10 first. They tried it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even over a month now. And they just can't get used to it. Mm-hmm. And for those people, that's it. You go to this. Decision making is finished. If you don't like a touchscreen phone, just go to the Q10.
But we'd still say try the keyboard on the Z10. Definitely give it a shot.
I think so. I mean, it's in the stores for you to play with.
Absolutely.
I think a bunch of the carriers have, return policies as long as you don't use the voice. You don't go over a certain number of voice minutes on it.
Yeah.
So I think give the Z10 a shot. If you are torn and, you want to maybe try getting used to this. Next up, so obviously keyboard's the big difference, and if you can't get away from a physical keyboard, that's it. This is your phone. If you can get used to the physical keyboard, this guy's still in the running for you. So the next thing becomes screen size. Obviously this has a 4.2-inch display. This is 3.1 inch. The more screen real estate you have, to me, the better.
Sure.
I mean, most people would take a big screen over a small screen, and I don't think that's...
I think it depends what you do. I mean, because honestly, there's certain times where the screen size doesn't matter. If you don't watch a lot of videos, you don't play a lot of games, things like that, where you're only... doing your emails, going on Twitter, using the browser, calendar, BBM, things like that, then the screen size on here isn't going to be an issue for you. But if you're watching videos constantly, or you play a lot of games, you're obviously going to want the much larger screen. on the Z10.
Now, one thing I will say about the Q10, because obviously it has a smaller screen, but BlackBerry's done some good work to try to maximize it. So if you're on a list like this in your email inbox, as you start to scroll, it actually hides away the status bar. Or if you go into something like our CrackBerry app, we've really maximized it where as you start to scroll, we literally hide both the header of the app and the nav bar at the bottom. So we totally max out the size. So if you put this almost side by side, you're not even losing much space. Now that's up to developers to make sure they kind of maximize for it. But really on something like the CrackBerry app, I almost see no difference between using these two in practice when the phone's in my hand. But with the Z10, you're getting a bigger display. So if you do a lot of media, if you want that maxed out size, that's a pro for this guy, a con for this guy. But overall, it just depends. I mean, if you choose a physical keyboard, it's because you value the communication experience and you're willing to sacrifice that screen real estate. Other big difference between the two phones is the battery size. And this is where the Z10, you got to knock it a little bit compared to the Q10. So the Z10 has what?
This is an 1800 milliamp battery.
And this guy, the Q10, has a 2100 milliamp hour battery. So that's, I don't remember the percentage and I should know it by now. It's like 12%, 14%,
like
16% bigger battery. So all things equal, this guy would have better battery life. But then it also has a smaller display, which means even better battery life because displays suck back battery life. In addition to just the battery size and the screen difference size, this has a different screen technology. So whereas the Z10 uses an LCD display, the Q10 uses an OLED display. And OLED is going to get you better battery life, especially when it's coupled with blacks. Because on OLED displays, producing the color black takes less energy than producing whites, which is why BlackBerry went ahead and actually kind of customized the OS to feature a dark theme. So actually something like the CrackBerry app is a good example again, where we're following the native design guidelines, and we've totally blacked out everything on the app compared to the standard white look. And that's going to get you a little more battery life too. So this phone is really your workhorse, right? And BlackBerry did a great job here of not compromising anything. So if you compare this to the Bold 9900, which has a 1230 milliamp hour battery, this is a way bigger battery. Plus, they've gone ahead and really, tried to maximize everything with it, in terms of putting that OLED display in with the dark theme.
I think that was, like a big concentration. Because you look at something like you said, like the 9900, where it was, pretty much an amazing phone. The keyboard was awesome, the phone itself was awesome, but then you have this chintzy battery in it, and depending on your use case and your situation, your batteries would get eaten. So you have something like this now, which is, for argument's sake, almost twice as big as the Bold 9900 battery, plus all kinds of tweaks in the software. So it's just
and I think battery life, in terms of the Q10 versus Z10 decision, I think this is probably one of the most important things to consider because, when we first got the Z10, Z10, I go interchangeably on the name here, battery life wasn't great when we got it.
Mm-hmm.
After some OS updates, it got a lot better. And if you hang out in the CrackBerry forums, you'll see the battery, the testimonials from people vary from really great battery life to not so great. And you got to remember, there's a ton of things that can affect battery life. So the carrier you're on, are you in a big city? We're in New York right now, which is notorious for just eating battery life. You're in big buildings made of concrete. You're switching between 1 million cell towers all the time as you're going throughout the city.
Using LTE.
You're using LTE, batteries just die. Now, for the most part, I tend to get really good battery life because a lot of the day, or for a good portion of the day, I'm in my office or I'm in my home, I'm connected to Wi-Fi. I don't have, the radios aren't working that hard in that case to make a carrier connection. I'm offloading to Wi-Fi. So for me, most of the time I'm okay. But I found with this phone, when I get out of my home or office and I go around the city, battery life sucks back quick. Now, there are accessories for that. I always leave the house with a spare battery if it's going to be a long day and I'm gone. I know I'm going to be gone. But that's not a luxury for everybody. And I think, power users are always going to want to come back to a bigger battery whenever you can get it.
Sure.
And Q10 wins on battery life by a lot.
Absolutely. What's next?
Next, I think keyboard shortcuts is important to talk about. So
That's a pretty big one.
one of the my gripes on the Z10 with the full touchscreen experience, and again, I've never been a fan of touchscreen Blackberries. I mean, we all remember the BlackBerry Storm, the BlackBerry Storm 2. We remember, I mean, what's after that? I guess the Torch slider was more of a touchscreen experience that was good because it's still the keyboard. Then there's that full Torch, like 9860, 9850. Not a fan, which people got really mad at me when I said I wasn't a fan. Z10's a great touchscreen experience from BlackBerry, like amazing, and I love it. One of the things I don't like is the speed of which I churn through email. So, BlackBerry users tend to get a lot of email. We want to churn through our communications. And I mean, if you open up the email app there, one of the problems is once you're looking at an email and you want to go to the next email, you kind of have to swipe back, go to your inbox, swipe back into the next email. If you want to delete an email, it's a little bit slow. You have to like tap and hold on the three dot icon, the overflow icon, hit the delete key. When you wake up in the morning and you're in bed and you want to just plow through email, it takes more time. Now, on the Q10, BlackBerry has built in, I think, over 200 shortcuts still. Not every single shortcut of the old BlackBerry experience is still there, but they've done a lot. You have your spacebar scrolling, you can scroll up with the T key, jump to the bottom with the B key, and once you're in emails, you can go use your N key for next message, next message, next message, and hit the delete key to kill an email. That saves a ton of time. So for people who do a lot of communication, the traditional BlackBerry user, the Q10 still has that.
I think too, it's, like you said, the traditional BlackBerry user, so people that have been using a keyboard BlackBerry for a while, there's really little to no learning curve because the keyboard shortcuts are there.
Yep.
And 90% of them are the same as they've always been. So you have your top and bottom and next and things like that. So there's no real, reading a manual or any kind of documents or anything because they're all there. And
there's some differences, right? Like I can't dial, on a BlackBerry 7 keyboard, I always program my home screen key, or when I'm on the home screen, if I hold down on the letter E, it speed dials my girlfriend Erica.
Sure.
Now that's still in the OS, but it's a little weird now where you have to like open the phone app, go to the dialer, and then I can do it.
Sure.
Thing. Oh yeah, oops. Well, don't dial that number. But it's a little weird. They move things around. But on the home screen, they added something new called Instant Actions, which is awesome. And essentially, they're like shortcuts into apps. So if you start typing when you're just on the home screen, you can. I'll type BBM Atom.
It's almost like a universal search keyboard shortcut mashup.
Yeah, exactly. But if I type on the instant action to BBM Atom, it literally opens up Atom and goes right to you in the app. So it's like a shortcut deep into an app. It's not just a shortcut to open an app, which is one of the things on the old BlackBerry. You could make your keyboard open different apps, but not go straight into those kinds of things the same way.
Like on the old devices, you could do C to compose or whatever, and it would bring you to the compose screen.
Yeah.
But now if you type email Atom, and it'll bring you to the compose screen. But on top of that, it puts the email address in, so you're all ready to go. So it's kind of takes the extra step, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's a new experience that I'm liking so far. That's one of the things I'm really loving, because I don't know, when you have a keyboard, you just want to start typing on it, I think.
Yeah, well, it kind of brings you above and beyond because you have a keyboard, and it's great, obviously, for typing and everything. But the fact that it gives you more control over the device as opposed to the Z10, where you don't have the shortcuts and you don't have those functions. Like here, it's arguably saving you time by having the physical keyboard to type, but at the same time, you have all these other actions, and once you learn them, you're not so much swiping around the home screen to get to BBM or to get to your email, and you're just typing things, when they're popping up there and you're off to the races. So.
Exactly. And then other differences, I mean, the biggest other difference between Q10 and Z10, and we talked about it a little bit, it's really, I guess, the dark theme versus white theme. Right. Just from an aesthetic standpoint. We talked about it from a battery life standpoint, but one of the things when we first got the Z10 that we spoke about was I kind of wish BlackBerry did a little bit more to like sex up the OS from BlackBerry 7 phones. And I think with the dark theme, that's kind of what I was looking for. It's just a bit of change up to the look and feel of the OS. They don't put the dark theme everywhere on the phone, so they've left it white in something like the inbox because people read email all day in white. You're used to it whether it's Outlook or Gmail. Reading a lot of messages, long messages, it's always a white background. But on things like the calendar or contacts or BBM, having the dark theme, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. It's OS. It makes the OS a little bit, I don't know, I guess sexier is the word I'm looking at.
Sure.
And on the OLED display, it just pops, right? The blues really shine out nice.
Well, because they kind of use fun colors on top of it, so they have these, blue colors, and I think like we said that calendar active frame, where it just looks cooler than it does on here, because you get like kind of this white block on the Z10 where you get this.
Now, speaking of display too, one thing we didn't touch on the OLED display versus LCD is if you're a person who's out in sunlight all the time, LCD is probably going to give you, or does give you, slightly better viewability. I found the Q10, walking around outside to be completely viewable, but it's kind of when you put the two side by side, you'll notice, the Z10 is going to have whiter whites on the display, be a little bit better in outdoor sunlight, direct sunlight, than the Q10. But overall, it's a tough decision.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I think the big thing becomes, if you have to like build your decision tree, it becomes, what do you own now? If you own a BlackBerry with a physical keyboard, the odds are pretty good you're going to want a BlackBerry 10 phone with a physical keyboard. You've been hanging on to your keyboard for a reason, because you love typing on buttons. You want the tactile feedback. You shouldn't text and drive. I know some of you are doing it, so don't do it. But if you're in the back of a New York City taxi cab, which is bumpy as hell, this is going to be the one that wins, right? If you walk down the street a lot and you're always typing while moving around, tactile feedback, can't beat it. So it comes down to, you use your phone on the go, while moving, in motion, you want tactile feedback, go for this. If you need the battery life, you're a power user, you're out on the go, out of your office or home all day, go for this. If you're a little bit more, I don't want to say casual user, because it's not really a casual user, but I think if you're, in your office, in your home a lot, you're on Wi-Fi a lot, I would go Z10.
Yeah.
I just think it's great, and I mean, this keyboard, I'm honestly faster with it than the Q10. Which kind of surprised me, because I've always prided myself on being a super fast keyboard typer.
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's like I was saying before. The more you get into it, the more you learn it, and actually, it kind of makes you type faster, because the faster you type, the less mistakes you're going to make. So it's definitely a good trade-off.
Yeah. So end of the day, we've helped you decide nothing. It's really a decision I think you have to make for yourself. I think on the traditional BlackBerry user base, you're going to see a ton of people with Q10s very quickly, because, again, it's 2013. There's 75 plus million BlackBerry users out there. The vast majority of them are on physical keyboard BlackBerries today. There's a reason for that, right? They want the physical keyboard, and this is your BlackBerry 10 phone that has a physical keyboard, and it's awesome. Q10 owners who have upgraded straight from BB7 phones to this are loving it, because, again, BlackBerry 10 is a completely new BlackBerry. This isn't an incremental change. This is a new platform. Everything that's ever ticked you off about BlackBerry in the past, whether it's hourglassing or battery pulls or the browser's too slow or the apps aren't there, there's not a good enough app experience, it's all gone. Like, this thing is just fixes everything, and you still have a keyboard. Camera's good, everything's good on it. HD video recording, you have your LTE speeds. I mean, that's actually probably one of the things that I still surprise myself with is, we're not used to it on a BlackBerry. So all of a sudden I can download, a 100 megabyte movie, I won't say what type of movie, in like, 52 seconds or less, or like 30 seconds, and it's just like freaking fast. You're like, holy smokes, I can't believe I'm doing that on a BlackBerry, because for years you're just not used to doing that on a BlackBerry. So I think you're a winner either way, but I think that's kind of the framework to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you can't take our word for it. You need to try it out.
Definitely try this, though. Like, eventually the world is going touchscreen, right?
I think that should be our advice, because people are going to want to get something out of this. So our advice would be to definitely try this. Don't, if you have a keyboard, don't jump straight to the Q10. Maybe give this one a shot.
At least in store, pick it up and try it.
Yeah, plenty of demos all over the place. Like you said before, I think most of the carriers you can kind of buy it and try it. If you don't like it, return it, and then go for this guy instead. But
at least live a little. Try something new.
For it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it.
Okay, we hope that was helpful
in some way, shape, or form.
Read the article too that accompanies this video, because we'll talk about everything else. But it's 2013. You got the video version of it. Read the written version of it, and for more information, visit crackberry.com/Q10 or crackberry.com/Z10. And that's it. Thanks for watching.